Hey, welcome to the Big Lou podcast. My name is Big Lou, and I'm an independent musician born and raised in St. Martin, that's the Caribbean, and I'm currently based in London, Ontario, Canada. 5 years ago, at 28 years old, with no music experience, I decided to become a rapper. And since then, I've had some incredible opportunities. I've learned valuable lessons along the way, and my goal now is to grow Big Lou as big as possible. And on this podcast, I share some of my stories from my journey. I go into insights of the music industry and whatever else I feel like discussing because this is my podcast. Damn it. If you enjoy the show, please be sure to subscribe and follow me on social media for more updates. With that said, let's get into it. Today, I want to talk to you about 7 reasons why I began the Big Loop podcast. Since we're kind of still early into this whole series, I don't even know what to call it, the whole show, the whole experience. I wanted to lay out, at least today, why I started this podcast. And then who knows, as it evolves, things can happen, things can change, things can develop. I'm sure they will. But at least we have it documented, and that way we can see what happens over time. So the first reason why I thought it'd be cool to start the Big Loop podcast officially was because it's been a personal passion of mine for a while. Clearly, I've been interested in music for at least 5 years, and so there was a lot of thought behind creating a project like this. I did start another project or another podcast, I should say, about 4.5, maybe 5 years ago. And that was called Go Produce. I could just link it right here. I don't know how to do that. I just said that I'm going to do it, but check definitely in the comments below or in the description below. You'll have a link to that. But I started that, and that was my first podcasting experience to learn as much as I could about the music industry because I wanted to apply it to myself. But now I have the opportunity to just create a podcast for myself or by myself, for you, for me, for all of us, simply just as the Big Loop podcast. And here I can talk about pretty much anything that I want to. My experiences, others' experiences, my collaborators' experiences, the clients I work with, anyone I really want to, you know what I'm saying? So this is really cool. And we get to explore the passion behind everything, why we make some of the decisions that we're making, how we got to the positions where we're making these kinds of decisions. And hopefully you can find some kind of insight and make your experience a little bit smoother or with your own form of roughness, so you can learn from my mistakes and kind of get the upper hand in that regard. So that said, as an independent musician operating in London, Ontario, I'll be able to share a lot of insights around how to develop in that space based off of solely my experiences and those experiences from people I speak to and people that I study. So if you're at all a musician in the southwestern Ontario area, or even in Canada for that matter, you probably find some of these things that I talk about useful. I'm not a beginner. I'm not an expert either. I'm somewhere in between. And so maybe there's some value for you if you find yourself somewhere along that path as well. And as we get more into the podcast, you'll hear more of the different kinds of stories, and you'll be able to gauge how far along I am on this journey. But I've committed to making this a lifelong journey, and so it's hard for me to say that I'm 10% of the way there or 22% of the way there to making it, because my making it's different than what your making it is. And all things considered, if I look back to where I started 5 years ago, I've made some strides, and a lot of people would say that I've made at least, or I've at least reached some milestones that a lot of people set out to reach, and I'm super grateful for those, and so I can share about those as well, and how we continue to build them into more. The second reason why I'm doing this is because I really want to build a community. For those of you that have known me from before, that's where I spend a lot of my time and energy. I'm part of different kinds of communities in London itself, and I believe that with a group of people, you're able to achieve things that you can't on your own. Of course, you can achieve things on your own without a group of people, but there's different levels to that. And you can go fast. You can do things quickly by yourself because you don't have to manage other people. But if you want to do things that you definitely can't do on your own, you've got to work with people, and you get to work with people, I should say, because other players bring in new perspectives that you may not even have considered, or at a time that you didn't consider it, and that changes how the entire project comes out, which can be a positive thing, that can be a not so positive thing. But in order to realize the true potential of any situation, you've got to include as many perspectives as possible, trained perspectives. You know, you can't just like throw anyone into the pot. But in a community, you throw people into the pot and you build it out, and you see how it unfolds. By doing this here on this podcast, I'm able to connect with people on a different platform outside of my music, outside of my social media. I'm not overly concerned with time, but I'm just truly trying to share value. I also want to have this as a platform or a place where people can like shoot me their questions and interact and try to like figure out ways that they can navigate the music industry as an independent musician. Specifically in Canada, some of these things might translate to like anywhere in the world. But I want to have conversations here ultimately, you know what I'm saying? The third reason that I wanted to start this podcast is because I spent a lot of time working on speaking and developing my communication, and podcasting has always been something that, you know, tests your abilities. How engaging can you be? How well of a storyteller are you? What kinds of values and wisdom are you bringing to the words that you're saying? Are you being effective, efficient with all of that you're saying? So I get to work on that a little bit more, I'm not gonna lie. And I also get to interact with other people that I'll have on the guests, and I'll learn a little bit more about their stories. Like I mentioned, there'll be people that I've collaborated with, clients that I have, you know, friends or music industry professionals. So by having these people on the guests, I'll be able to grow personally, you know, in terms of their life lessons, but also we'll get to grow in terms of music business experiences. So that's the third reason why I'm doing all of this, personal growth and development ultimately. We are leaning a little bit more into like the music business side of things. So the fourth reason is to build my brand and to advance my career. I'd like to take pieces of information and wisdom from other people around me, and I also want to talk about my experiences because I feel like when you're speaking, you're also interpreting it, or you're receiving the information again in a different way. So maybe you process things and you come up with new ideas. So that's another reason why I want to do this. And it'll also help me kind of maybe create other opportunities for myself in the future, whether it's talking on stages, at conferences, on other people's podcasts, leading to other opportunities that I might not even be aware of right now. So reason number 4 for making this podcast is brand building and career advancement. Reason number 5, creative freedom. I'm doing this pretty much by myself right now. And who knows, maybe one day there's a team around it, but over the years I've been able to develop all of the skills required to do this. And I had all of the gear built up over the years as well to do this. So I have the flexibility to do it. I've got the autonomy to do it. And I just really love the creative freedom that comes with it. I can do whatever I want, whenever I want, because it's my podcast. It also allows me to experiment with different things, capture different stories, and build on them over time as well. So I'm really excited about that. There's no real pressure to, you know, deliver every week or whatever the case may be. I'm just going to do it when I feel like it and be consistent, whatever that means. And I'm going to try and provide as much value as I can and have as much fun as I can as possible. So that's the 5th reason, creative freedom. Number 6, inspiration and motivation. I absolutely love inspiring others. I think that's truly making it. And not only inspiring others, but inspiring others to the point where they've grown and they've developed and they've nurtured themselves, that they then inspire others. I think that's when you've truly made it. And so I'm just kind of building on that, showing other people like, this is how I've done it, this is how you can potentially do it depending on what your situation is. And if it's different, try a little bit of a different approach, but learn from my mistakes, learn from my successes, and let's ultimately inspire one another. I also think it's going to be quite motivating because, you know, I've really enjoyed doing this and I really like talking. And if this does become a platform where people start to interact with me as well, I'll find it's more motivating to continue doing this. and exploring what other kinds of opportunities may come from this. So that's the sixth reason. Sixth reason why I started this. And then the final reason is to talk about challenges and lessons that I've learned. I kind of address this throughout, but I feel like it's a point in itself because most of what I've learned has come from the challenges that I've faced, not necessarily the wins that I've experienced. Um, Even if I did win, there was a tough process to have gotten there. And those challenges, those micro challenges, is what makes the entire experience full. If you just got the win, it would definitely be super empty. And you might even be confused as to why you just had that win. And so I've come to realize that that challenge, that grinds, that like ugly part before the sunshine is really what we're doing this for. And so I want to talk about those things and I want to share those hardships so that you can like not feel alone maybe so that I feel so that I can talk about it as well and not feel so crazy. Um, and then share any key takeaways, mindset tricks, hacks, health, life hacks, whatever, to help navigate this independent musician grind. Because it is an experience. Those are the 7 reasons, though. Thank you so much for tuning in to the Big Loop podcast. If you stayed until the end, you obviously liked it, so go ahead and hit that like button if you haven't already, and leave a comment below sharing what you learned or what you appreciated the most. You can follow me on social media for updates, behind-the-scenes contents, and more stories from my life in music. My handle is @BigLouCrew. I want to also try and figure out how to do this live on Twitch, but I'll still go ahead and record it and then post podcast episodes here. Let's see how that goes. But in the meantime, new episodes coming at you when I feel like it, so make sure to subscribe to my channel and turn on notifications not to miss it. And hey, if you're feeling generous, share this episode with a friend because it really helps grow the crew. Until next time, keep creating those opportunities and remember, this is the Big Loop Podcast. Damn it.